Losing half your turkey flock in the first month isn't just heartbreaking. It's hundreds of dollars in feed, poults, and time completely wasted. And it happens to most first-time turkey raisers. Not because of bad luck, not because of some rare disease, but because of three specific, completely avoidable mistakes. I made all three of them. And by week 6, I had lost 7 birds out of 10. But here's what changed everything. Once I understood what turkeys actually need and what silently kills them, my next flock made it through fully, hit target weight ahead of schedule, and sold for enough to more than cover all my costs. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to raise turkeys from day one. The breeds, the feed, the housing, and the health risks that nobody talks about clearly enough, including the one disease that has bankrupted small turkey operations all over the world and how to completely prevent it with one simple rule. Let's get into it. Before anything else, I need you to understand one thing that will save your flock and your money. Turkeys are not chickens. Most beginners treat them the same way, and that single assumption causes the majority of first-year failures. Turkeys need higher protein, different temperatures, more space, and, critically, they cannot safely share an environment with chickens. Not because they don't get along, but because of something far more dangerous, which I'll explain shortly. Keep that in mind as we go through each step. Everything will make more sense because of it. Your first decision is breed, and it directly affects your costs, your timeline, and how much money you walk away with. There are 2 main categories: broad-breasted breeds and heritage breeds. Broad-breasted whites are the commercial standard. They grow fast, reaching 35 to 40 pounds in around 16 weeks. But let's talk real numbers. A single broad-breasted white will consume roughly 70 to 80 pounds of feed from poult to harvest. At an average feed cost of around 40 to 50 cents per pound, you're looking at $30 to $40 in feed per bird. Add the poult cost, usually $8 to $12 each, and your total investment per bird sits at roughly $40 to $55. Now here's where it gets interesting. A finished broad-breasted white at 35 pounds sells for $4 to $7 per pound at farm direct prices, especially around Thanksgiving and the holiday season. That's $140 to $245 per bird. Even after costs, you're looking at a healthy margin if the bird makes it to harvest. That if is everything, and it's why the rest of this video matters. Heritage breeds, like the Bourbon Red, Narragansett, or Royal Palm, are slower to grow, taking 25 to 30 weeks to reach market weight. Your feed costs go up accordingly, but they can reproduce naturally, they forage more efficiently, which cuts feed costs over time, and they command premium prices from buyers who specifically want pasture-raised heritage birds. If you're building a long-term breeding flock, heritage breeds make strong financial sense. For your first time, start with broad-breasted whites, smaller flock, 6 to 10 birds. Lower complexity, faster feedback, and you'll learn everything you need before scaling up. Your poults, baby turkeys, will spend their first 6 to 8 weeks in a brooder. Getting this right is non-negotiable because this is where most losses happen. Temperature is everything in week 1. You need 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit at floor level. Drop it by 5 degrees each week until the birds are fully feathered. Too cold, and they pile on top of each other and suffocate. Too hot, and they push to the edges, get stressed, and stop eating. Watch them, not the thermometer. If they're huddled tight under the heat source, they're cold. If they're pressed against the walls, they're too hot. Comfortable poults spread out, move around, eat, and explore. That's what you're looking for. Use pine shavings for bedding, not newspaper, not smooth surfaces. Smooth flooring causes spraddle leg, a condition where the poult's legs splay outward and it can't walk. Once it sets in, it's very hard to correct. For water, use shallow-based chick waterers. Poults will drown in open containers. They're curious and clumsy in equal measure. Put marbles or small stones around the waterer base for the first few days, and clean the waterer every single day. Dirty water is one of the fastest routes to disease in young birds. Give them enough feeder space so every bird can eat at the same time. Turkeys compete aggressively for food, and weaker birds lose out if space is limited. Slow growing. Birds in week 1 usually stay behind the whole flock. This is the step with the most expensive mistakes. Do not feed young turkeys chicken feed, especially in the first 8 weeks. Turkey poults need a starter feed with 28 to 30% protein. Standard chicken starter feed sits at 18 to 20%. That gap causes developmental failures, suppressed immune systems, and dramatically higher mortality in the first month. Use turkey, starter feed, or game bird starter. Read the label. Protein content is on the front. Now here's the feed. Cost reality you need to plan for. Broad-breasted whites have what's called a feed conversion ratio, or FCR, of roughly 2.5 to 3. That means for every 2.5 to 3 pounds of feed, they gain 1 pound of body weight. It's not bad for a farm animal, but it adds up fast. A flock of 10 birds will go through 700 to 800 pounds of feed total. That's a real budget. Plan for it. To manage feed costs without cutting protein, let your birds access pasture from weeks 8 onward. Free-ranging turkeys supplement their diet naturally with grass, insects, and seeds. Some farmers report cutting total feed costs by 20 to 30% with good pasture access, without any loss in growth rate or final weight. Transition feed by age, starter feed from weeks 1 to 8, grower feed at 20 to 22% protein from weeks 9 to 16, and finisher feed at 16 to 18% protein in the final weeks before harvest. Always have clean water available. Turkeys drink more than you expect. A mature turkey can drink half a gallon of water per day in warm weather. Running out of water, even for a few hours, causes a measurable drop in feed efficiency and growth. At 6 to 8 weeks, your birds move out of the brooder and into permanent housing. The minimum space requirement is 4 square feet per bird indoors and at least 20 to 30 square feet of outdoor run space per bird. Crowd them and you'll see feather pecking, stress, suppressed immunity, and slower growth. Overcrowding is a slow, invisible tax on your flock's performance. Your coop needs 3 things above everything else: ventilation, moisture, and ammonia buildup from droppings are the leading causes of respiratory disease in turkeys. Ventilate from the top of the structure away from where the birds roost to create airflow without cold drafts at bird level. Dry bedding. Use 4 to 6 inches of pine shavings or straw and replace it regularly. Wet bedding is where bacteria and fungi thrive. Clean and dry is your best health intervention. Predator security. Turkeys are vulnerable to foxes, raccoons, dogs, and birds of prey. Use hardware cloth, not chicken wire. Raccoons reach through chicken wire. Check for gaps regularly. Lock birds in every single night without exception. Now I need to stop and talk about the single biggest threat to your turkey flock, the one that doesn't announce itself until it's too late. It's called histamoniasis, commonly known as blackhead disease. Here's why it's so dangerous. Chickens carry the parasite that causes it, often with 0 visible symptoms. Your chickens can look completely healthy while silently hosting the organism in their system. When turkeys share the same ground, water, or living space as infected chickens, even briefly, they can contract it, and in turkeys, blackhead disease moves fast. Yellowing droppings, rapid weight loss, and Death within days. There is no widely available commercial treatment. Prevention is your only real option. The golden Danish rule is simple. Never raise turkeys on ground that chickens have recently used, and never house them together. This applies to shared pasture, shared runs, shared equipment that hasn't been fully disinfected. The ground itself holds the parasite. It can survive in soil for years. If you keep chickens and want to raise turkeys, keep them completely separate on different ground. If you're starting from scratch with just turkeys, you're already safer. This one rule, applied consistently, eliminates your biggest single risk factor. Here's something the numbers alone won't tell. You, the farmers who consistently get the best results, highest survival rates, best final weights, best return on feed investment, are not necessarily the ones with the most expensive setup. They're the ones who observe their birds daily, who notice the birds standing slightly apart from the flock, who catch the subtle change in droppings before it becomes an outbreak, who fix the small ventilation problem before it becomes a respiratory infection across the whole flock. Attention is your highest return input. It costs nothing and it pays more than any feed additive or equipment upgrade. Spend 10 minutes every morning walking through your flock with no agenda except to look. You'll catch problems early, and early is when they're still cheap to fix. Let's bring this together into your action plan. Choose broad-breasted whites for your first flock. Budget $40 to $55 per bird in total costs, and target farm direct sales around the holiday season for maximum return. Set up your brooder correctly before the poults arrive. Right temperature, dry bedding, shallow waterers, enough feeder space for every bird. Feed. Turkey starter at 28 to 30% protein for the first 8 weeks. Not chicken feed. Plan your total feed budget around 70 to 80 pounds per bird and use pasture access to reduce costs from week 8 onward. Give them space, ventilation, dry bedding, and solid predator protection in permanent housing. And apply the golden rule without exception. Keep turkeys away from chickens and chicken ground. This single decision will protect everything else you build. Do these things consistently, and you won't just have a surviving flock. You'll have a productive one. If this gave you a clearer picture of what turkey raising actually looks like, the real costs, the real risks, and the real returns, hit subscribe. Every week I put out guides like this one, practical, honest, and built around real numbers. Tell me in the comments, are you starting your first flock, or are you already raising turkeys and working through a specific challenge? I read every comment, and I build future videos around the questions you ask. And if you're ready for the next step, the video right here breaks down exactly what to feed your turkeys at every stage, week by week, to hit maximum weight at minimum feed costs. See you in the next one.